Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's great to be in Rome again, see all the familiar faces and past colleagues. I'm here with a different hat. I'm here for Minaris Regenerative Medicine, which actually isn't Minaris Regenerative Medicine. I'll get to that in a moment. But I want to talk about the path we're taking. We're building the largest, most experienced, focused CDMO on cell and gene therapies and testing. And I'll present to you what that means to us and what we plan to do over the next few years. There you go. So, as some of you might have heard, Minaris has been carved out of the past owner and acquired earlier this year in January by a private equity firm, Altaris, based out of New York. And just a few weeks ago in March, the same private equity Altaris acquired the Philadelphia site, which is Advanced Therapies, previously belonging to WuXi. So these two entities, these two excellent groups of people with a lot of facilities are joining together and will be a powerhouse in the CDMO space for cell and gene therapy, and will be focused on cell and gene therapy and testing. And we're actually going to launch the new brand at ISCT and ASGCT later this year in May in New Orleans, so stay tuned. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what our vision is, because we believe that as a CDMO, we have a responsibility, especially as a CDMO that operates in the CGT space exclusively. And that responsibility is because we need to be patient-centric, and we need to be focused on delivering for our partners and our clients. And I also believe that a lot of the solutions that we've been talking about as a group in the space are there now to be used, right? So we talk a lot about reducing COGS, we talk a lot about reducing vein-to-vein time. We talk about all these elements that we need to do as an industry to get to more patients faster. And increasingly we have the technological solutions to allow that, but really bringing them together in a way that makes sense, in a way that makes them work, is something that CDMOs should and can focus on. And that's why we're focusing on these things. So we have several things that we're focused on. One is the patient is waiting, right? And the patient is waiting is because these patients are in dire need for the therapy in general, but also just specifically in terms of vein-to-vein time. Obviously, more specifically for autologous therapies, the vein-to-vein time is extremely important. So how can we significantly decrease vein-to-vein time? Through testing, through efficiencies, through quick turnaround. The second is right first time. As you might know, and we know certainly because we manufacture many therapies, including multiple commercial therapies, the right first time is critical. So we need to get to a really high level of right first time batch release. And when we say right first time, it doesn't mean just batch release. It means manufacturing a batch with essentially no deviations. And that's something the industry doesn't right now do very well, and we need to improve rapidly. The third element is how do we increase patient access? And one of the biggest barriers to patient access is obviously the cost and the price to the patients. So how do we use technologies and stitch together technologies and create efficiencies in our operations and in our clean rooms to really make a dent in reduction of cost of goods? And we believe that in the next 4 or 5 years, we can bring that down by about 70% with existing technologies. The fourth is innovate to enable. So innovation, not for the sake of innovation, but innovation for the sake of reaching these goals I just talked about. So we are going to do that, and we are doing that currently. And last but not least, how do we really form one company? So take this very large organization, which I'll talk about in a moment, and form one cohesive organization that not only works well together and with clients, but it also has a unified customer and therapeutic experience, meaning that how do we get to a point where when there's a tech transfer between sites, it's as easy, as seamless, as cost-effective, and risk-reduced as possible. That means that our sites need to look the same, feel the same, use the same equipment, use the same protocols, do all these things that are needed to achieve that. So these are our goals, high level, and as we develop them, we'll obviously come back and update on these and explain how we're doing them, but these are our objectives for the next few years. So I want to talk a bit about our truly global footprint and some of the stats that we have, because I think they're really unparalleled. Minaris, previously PCT, was the first cell and gene or cell therapy CDMO, been around for 25 years. And our testing capabilities in Philly, been around for 40 years. So if you look at some of the statistics here, I'll go over them in a moment, this is really unparalleled. So in terms of the footprint, multiple sites globally. As you can see here, 3 sites in North America. The Allendale site in New Jersey is manufacturing the commercial product for Bluebird Bio. The Philadelphia site is manufacturing the commercial product for Iovance. Several sites in Europe. The most significant one from a GMP manufacturing standpoint is our site outside of Munich, which is a brand new site, significantly sized. And then our Oxford site is Oxygen, the site where we're doing various elements of development for vector as well as plasmids, which I'll talk about in a moment. And last but not least, our site in Japan, outside of Tokyo, which also has experience with manufacturing commercial product. So if you look at the statistics here, over 1,400 employees, 11 facilities, 730,000 square feet of infrastructure, more than 80 GMP clean rooms. So this is a significant capacity and capability, and we definitely plan to use that and leverage it. But I think maybe more importantly is the experience, right? So more than 7,500 GMP batches released, 1,700 active assays available in our testing group, more than 10,000 samples received annually for testing. So these are numbers that really give us economies of scale and allow us to be more efficient and faster and give an end-to-end solution that will help us achieve the goals I discussed earlier. So when it comes to what we do, it is what you would expect. So we do not and we will not develop therapeutic products. We work for therapeutic developers to help them manufacture and develop. But what we really want to do is be partners to move from discovery to delivery, from IND to BLA, from local manufacturing to global manufacturing. And as was mentioned earlier today, we live in a world where we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning, right? If it's tariffs, if it's shipping issues, right? So localized manufacturing, we believe, is going to become increasingly important. That global footprint is critical. So as you can see here, going all the way from plasmid design and vector design through development of those, CMC development, IND enabling studies, vector manufacturing and PD, cell therapy manufacturing and PD, testing, analytical, and obviously GMP manufacturing for both clinical and commercial activities. And all of that is supported also by the testing organization, bringing everything in-house. So I want to talk a bit about the concept of the patient is waiting, how we look at this and how we are moving towards executing faster. And when I say that, I mean both in terms of getting early phase companies to IND and to first in human faster, and also in terms of, as I mentioned earlier, faster turnaround time, vein to vein. So rapid onboarding. I don't know how many of you have worked with CDMOs, but the process of contracting and onboarding can be quite arduous and long. What do we do to make that happen faster, more streamlined, and onboard clients within weeks as opposed to months? How do we generate parallel work streams where we're working on accelerating timelines by doing Ph.D. and Ph.D., using platforms that are already established and we know work in our hands and can work quickly, and preparing for GMP and putting together a CMC package all in parallel so we can help you move faster towards an IND and first in human. How do we integrate development, testing, and manufacturing seamlessly to prevent handoffs and delays and issues with tech transfers? Flexible manufacturing capacity. I know many of you probably know that in some cases there's a need for dedicated clean rooms. In other cases, not. In many cases, there are issues with recruitment of patients for clinical trials. How do we allow the flexibility in manufacturing and clean room capacity without being prohibitive in costs? Obviously, experienced teams is a key element to having the right people who've done this time and time before and can accelerate things and help. And last but not least, digital tracking and real-time updates. So how do the people we're working with and the patients and the physicians know what's happening and understand how the product is going and how the batch is progressing through the stages? So I'll say a few words about some of the things that we use, but obviously these are just some examples. But conceptually, we want to de-risk manufacturing, improve quality, accelerate timelines, allow scalability. So start right and get to a point where we're in the right framework to allow efficient commercialization at a cost of goods that is reasonable and can get reimbursed. So how do we identify, characterize, and optimize unit operations of the manufacturing? How do we leverage platform solutions? How do we evaluate and onboard new solutions? Because as technologies develop, we want to be at the forefront of testing those technologies and utilizing them. How do we actually evaluate rapidly median reagents? This is something that isn't usually done in cell therapy yet, but needs to be done going forward. Having the right unit operations and equipment to allow that and stitching them together in a way that's effective. And even things like just close and contain and containers for median reagents, right? So closing the processes so we can use grade C clean rooms as opposed to grade A and grade B. So these are some of the things that we do on a more granular level. As you can see, a very wide gamut of cell types ranging from immune cells through MSCs, HSCs, iPSCs, with hundreds and hundreds of batches manufactured and released for different cell types. As I mentioned earlier, lots of experience and track record with viral vector design and manufacturing, as well as plasmids, and use of some of our proven platforms for manufacturing. So cell lines, producer cell lines for vector manufacturing, etc., and testing. So again, when I came in recently, I wasn't aware at all of the testing capacity and expertise and breadth and depth at the Philly site. And it's really quite amazing to see and very deep and wide. So that's something we can utilize. And again, this is not just for cell and gene, specifically on testing. It cuts across all modalities. I also want to say a couple words about our group in Oxford. So as I mentioned earlier, design and development, not GMP manufacturing, but I think many of us know how difficult it is to either manufacture AAV for rare genetic disorders for in vivo use at a cost per patient that is reasonable, and conversely, manufacture lenti in a way that's sustainable for autologous so that the batch cost is not highly impacted by the cost of the vector. So how do we utilize these capabilities out of our Oxford team, whether it's with existing cell lines and platforms that are available, or whether it's bespoke development and design, so that we can alleviate those issues and get to a faster and more efficient and more cost-effective manufacturing process. So last, just to say a few words again about our testing expertise and capacity. So again, an integrated yet standalone testing group and capacity and building where we really provide standalone services so we can both integrate them with companies coming to us to do the GMP manufacturing as a CDMO, but we can also bring in anyone who needs and wants testing capabilities. So starting from assay development and services, including potency development and execution, the gamut of molecular virology, microbiology, and bioanalytics testing, biosafety testing, viral clearance. So really almost anything you can think of in the testing realm, we can do, and we can do efficiently, both develop and run those. And again, this is across various modalities, including vectors, cell therapies, mAbs, etc., including banking, cell banking, and stability assessments. So anyone that really needs testing. I think one of the bottlenecks and challenges for any company doing manufacturing a therapy is where do you do the testing, right? Can you do all the testing in-house, or do you need 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vendors, different vendors to ship out and do testing with? It becomes expensive, it becomes risky, and it causes delays. So how can we bring that in-house to do that end-to-end? So I will finish with just a few key points to reiterate, because I really think that we're building something extraordinary here. And we heard a lot earlier in the day about the pipelines, about the fact that multiple therapies are being commercialized. I think it's true. I think while we're still not where we were in terms of funding and the macroeconomic situation, it's going to come back, and we want to be prepared for what's coming. So the industry needs the capacity, needs the expertise, needs to improve on how we manufacture these therapies. So experience, again, decades of experience in cell therapy manufacturing and in testing, multiple commercial therapies that we're manufacturing, so obviously a lot of experience in that realm. I was quite amazed about the fact that we do testing for 27 commercial products. So that's a pretty amazing statistic. Focus, we don't do other things. We do cell and gene. We don't do mAb manufacturing or small molecules or fill finish. For mAbs, we do cell therapy and gene therapy. Footprint, a truly global footprint across 3 continents, which allows local manufacturing. End-to-end, as I've discussed throughout the presentation. Extensive testing capabilities to reduce vein-to-vein time and reduce cost and risk. And last but not least, a lot of experience, some of which was painful, I'm sure. I wasn't there. But with regulatory, so 20 successful inspections of various sites by various agencies. So again, that confidence that we're able to do that, we have that now, and we're able to do that going forward. So I'll end with that, and please talk to us. We have a team here. We're excited to launch this new combined entity/company, and we look forward to working with the industry to improve on how we do these things. Maybe our team the team here that's part of Minaris Advanced Therapies can stand for a moment so you see who they are, and please talk to them. Love to discuss things with you. Thank you.